So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from where you are listening from. It's 5 p.m. So, for the sake of time, we are going to start. So, this is the East, Central, and South Africa Microsoft Excel group brought to you by Crisp Excel Training and Consulting. If you want to support the webinars, you can buy my book. Today, I'm excited to have Aditya back. If you know Aditya, you know that he's actually for me, he's the only Power Query wizard I know out there. His areas of expertise is Power Query, financial analysis, and corporate training. He's going to tell us more about that. If you have not followed Aditya on LinkedIn, please do so. I will send you the link. And he has a very interesting YouTube channel, especially for the people in finance. As you can see, he has interesting episodes. Yesterday, I think this is the day before yesterday, he did about data aging analysis. So please subscribe to his channel and watch more of his videos. So for today, we are going to look at each operator in Power Query. So Aditya.
Visible, the whitest thing.
Yes.
All right. And Crispo, because of sharing my files and everything, I might not be able to catch up with the chats. So we can take like 10 minutes escapes or something like that after each of my topics complete. And then you can ask questions as well on behalf of the audience. And I will be coordinating with you regarding some of the questions I will be asking
Okay.
during the presentation. All
That's
right.
okay.
Hi, everyone. So I am Aditya. 1 second. Yeah. Weird. It started. Yeah. So today we will be talking about each operator in Power Query. To tell you more about me, I am Microsoft MVP and I am working as financial analyst as Profectus Academy. And as a Profectus, you can say Profectus actually does training and consulting regarding data analytics, financial modeling, and that too with Lambda and dynamic arrays. To give you a glimpse, just think of the time we spend daily there about preparing the financial models. It literally takes 2 to 3 days, right? But what can happen if we just input two three just punch in the data and it will create the wall report. So that's kind of thing I am quite interested at since my CA journey, and I was interested there, and that's what I'm doing right now at Profectus as financial analyst. I'm transforming the financial process, you can say like pay to procurement to pay cycle, integrating all these data tools so that client will benefit. So that's what I'm doing right now at Profectus. And everything apart, I am rather, if you approach me after my working hours, I will be playing games, reading books, or sometimes creating content related to integrating again finance with data analytics, or you can say properly finance with data tools. So today we will be talking much more about each operator, because when I started my journey in Excel, so I was kind of baffled, or you can say completely confused. What is each, and is each really that confusing? So we will be talking about that. Then why is context everything for each? So sometimes you will find that it is a record, it is an text value, or it is a number value. What is going on behind the scenes? We will be seeing that today. And what happens when we use two each operators? We will see what consequences happen and how to navigate these situations. And it is one of my tricks which I normally use. If you have seen solving me about Excel BI challenges or Crispos challenges, I normally use F and X logic. Okay, and we will be talking more about that today. Will you please unmute yourself? It won't disturb everyone. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I will also tell
I'm
you,
trying to use them.
okay, so I will also share you some of my best debugging tips. So what do I do when it comes to each so that my queries don't break up? Okay, so that's the whole idea. Let me share my Excel screen now. Give me a moment, please. Yeah, is my Excel visible?
Yes, yes, it is.
Great. So let's start with Excel, right? Because most of the times we are much more habitual working with Excel than Power Query. Okay, so let's just say that. Actually, I will tell you more about how we got lazy working with Excel. Okay, so let's start with just a simple text value. So here I have got Hermione Ginger. It is actually my avatar name as well. So you can say that what I want is simply I want to get my first name. 1 second, Crispo. I think if you can unmute the person, that will be very much helpful. Okay, not a problem. So what can we do, right? Regarding that. So in Excel, we will be simply typing now text before function. 1 second, text before function with space is delimiter. And you can see that I have got my first name. Got it? So that's the whole idea. We are much more habitual working with that. And let's say I want to get one percentage of this, I do is 10 percentage, right? Or you can come here and even write 0. It's the idea, right? And let's say I want to get my month name, a month number. So what can I do? I can come here and will simply write month function. So this is how we normally work in Excel, right? But this is just one single value. What will happen if there are multiple values? Let me tell you this way. Let's say now these are my text values, right? So what is going to happen? If I'm going to use the same logic, text before, and let's go with here, it is working perfectly fine, right? So we can either do drag and drop, or because now we have got dynamic arrays, we can select this wall range, right? And it will fill up everything. The same thing will go here if we are going for 10 percentage of these numbers, right? And again, the same thing here if I'm going to take the month number. Yeah. So nothing a problem. And that's the big problem here because we have been made lazy working with Excel. I- Because the thing is that this one is spelling right, this one is spelling. But what will happen if, let's say, because I love Indian sweets a lot, I have got a sweet tooth. So you can say that now I want to actually sort my names, or you can say count how many sweets I am planning to eat in this 2025. But you can see that somewhere I have repeated my names. So what is going to happen now? So first I'm going to use like split function. Then we'll see split with the rows. It has splitted me because I know there will be, you can say, duplicates. I can use my unique function, right? And then I can count it with my rows. Per- Perfectly fine, right? And as like a good person, I'm going to drag it down. Okay, Aditya, but we don't want dragging in because someone can come here and try add one here, and we have no idea if someone has messed up our calculations. So that's the thing, right? So that's the whole purpose of dynamic arrays. So what we are going to do, we are going to try something like this. It should spell, but just see, nothing is working, right? Our result didn't spell, and the words we have got something a very bizarre number because there are only two Indian sweets, Son Papdi and Ghevar. So what is going on behind the scenes? Now that's where the for loop comes. Think of this as a individual items. So what I need to do here is something like it should iterate one by one. Okay, so first it should calculate this one, then this one, then this one. So in short, I want to use a function that will iterate one by one rows. So what can I do here? I can come here, use the map function. I will select this whole idea. Then I will say lambda states, and here I will replace it with suites. Now you can see that the moment I do, I've got a spelling array, right? That's the for loop in Excel. Yeah. So that's the for loop. Got it? So tell you more about it. Every time Excel is performing a for loop here as well. But the thing is that we have no idea. So let me share you how what we can do now here. I can select here. I can come here. I will write here lambda. This is my text value. I will say text before. That is my text, and then simply will say right. Yeah, the result are exactly same. But the best thing is now I am explicitly saying that go with a for loop here. Got it? So that's the whole idea. Because we have been using Excel for a long time, we had no idea if there is something like a for loop. So that's the beginning of our journey, a bit about the for loop. I hope I am making sense. Does anyone has got any doubts? Otherwise, I will close this file and start with Power Query.
I think that is clear. We can go to Power Query.
Yeah. So it's like Crispo, like Aditya, you have asked us to talk about Power Query, but you are telling us about Excel. But at least if someone is transitioning from here, they will have much more clarity, right? 1 second. So now you can even see here, even in Excel, we have got something like this, right? So if I'm going to, let's say, get my first name, what can I do here? I can come here, text before delimiter, and that's it, right? So I've got my first name. Yeah. And if it is for numbers, then I can come here and just do the multiplication 0.1. And for the date, I can simply come here and say date dot month. Yeah. So not a problem for us when we are working with individual values. But now think from a bigger perspective, right? Now Power Query won't allow you like this. Let's say this is a list and I need to use a list function. So I'm going to say list transform. Now, if you are trying to think like this way about what can we do, right? If I am going to say text before delimiter and here I don't have a source, so what should I link up to here, right? I need a function that will first apply to Emma Watson. Yeah, then it would apply to Tom, then I hope I am pronouncing correctly, and then Leonardo, right? So what can we do here? So that's where, as we did in Excel as well, so we can do something like this. This is my text, and here text before delimiter, and here is my text value, and this is my delimiter. Now you can see that. Okay. Now you can see that I've got my first names. Got it? So that's the wall logic, what we have learned in Excel. This is the way we create a function. The way we saw in Excel about creating a lambda, that's the way we create functions in Power Query, right? And here we can also do something like this with numbers. Then what we can do here, let's transform. Here I can say this is a number. 1 second, number. And here I can write like number into 0.1. Yeah, now you can see that everything is changing now. So that is actually the for loop. Okay, now I hope you are getting sense of the ideas why we needed to learn about the lambdas, right? Because everything is similar. Okay. So here you can also work with the dates as well, but I hope you have got the point. Any confusion right now?
Everything is okay.
Great. I hope it is all clear and not all clear. Yeah. Let me close my file. Now, okay, Aditya, you have told us about like what is each operator, but what are the functions, how we can create functions, but what is actually the each operator, right? Because it is messing our head for a long time. So what is it in the first place? One second. Yeah, one second. Let me open up my files properly. Yeah. Yeah. So now you can see, let's now understand how we can actually create functions, right? So here you at least have got idea how we were creating, right? So what I was typing there, this is a text. So let's say this is, I am providing something like text value. Okay, now I will tell you two things here. So this is one of the ideas, you can write text or I can write text. Now the thing is that if I write text, you can, let me zoom it a bit. You can see the color is changing, right? The reason being is that this text is a reserve word. Got it? So that's the a reason. There are few reserve words, something like number, you can see, but if I make it capital, it is not a reserve word anymore. So that's the idea here. Got it? So I am going to write something like this is my name, or I will say name. Yeah. And I will explicitly define as something like, okay, for now, let's go with this way. This is the rocket sign in Chandip's language, but yeah, this is actually the functional creator. You can see even in JavaScript, something like that, we use this rocket sign. Okay. And then what we can say is something like, I will just want my the wall text as upper value. And what we can do here, this is my name. Yeah. Now you can see that I've created a function here. Function name is any. I will tell you more about it a bit later, but you can see that I have created a function. Now, if I'm going to write something like, let's say Hermione, then what will happen? It is creating a text value in upper sense, right? So that's the whole idea here. What we can do now. So that's how you create functions in Power Query. So, and as I told you, there is any word, right? So what we can do here, we can do something like this is my text value and I want my output as text value only, and that will be permanently defined. Okay. So the benefit it will be now, it will explicitly ask me something like example ABC. So it means it is asking for me as a text and the output should be also text. Let me tell you what I mean. So if I'm going to write something like one value here, eh, okay, this should be the way. So if I do something like this, it is telling me you cannot convert the value one to type text. Got it? So that's the whole idea. So what can we do here? If I write here Hermione, it is going to work perfectly fine. So that's the whole idea with the functions. Now let's go here. As I have told you, Power Query generally doesn't allow us to use any other words, reserve words, something like that. So let's say I am doing something like you can actually write anything like here. Okay, it doesn't mean that you have to just write a name here. I can like something like Abra. abracadabra. Yeah, now you can see that here I need to write again abracadabra. You can see it is going to be perfectly fine. If I'm going to write here, let's say again, uh, Aditya, it will turn the same result, right? So that doesn't, you can write anything here. Got it? But there are a few words which we cannot write here. Okay. So these are something like, let's say I'm thinking of using plus as my parameter. Will it work? It won't work. It is saying token identifier expected, something like a weird error. Got it? The main thing here is expression syntax error because I didn't provide a proper syntax here. Or you can say something like, I'm going to use this sign. It won't work. The only variable, or you can say the only delimiter which properly works is underscore. And what can I now do? The moment I press underscore, you can now see this thing, right? Function. Or let me remove this much part because I won't be needing this anymore. Now you can see that this is an optional parameter and function dot as any. And now let's see what will happen. If I'm going to write Aditya here again, you can see that I am still getting uppercase Aditya, right? So that's the logic of underscore. And the best part, if I do something like each, and what happened is when Power Query came, or it is just something like a hypothesis of me. So what would have happened was people were getting annoyed, and because we have all transitioned from Excel, right? So and people were using Dex, so they were getting annoyed with writing this long formulas every time, right? Earlier we have seen this was our whole big parameter. Yeah, and then we shortened it with just a simple this way, right? Underscore. But we want more flexibility. So what we can do, we can use something like each operator, each underscore, or if I will better write text upper underscore. Yeah, and let me use this one. Now you can see something like this, right? These two are one and the same. Underscore and again each operator and underscore. So behind the scenes, Power Query is saying if you are going to use each operator, we will assume you are asking us for an underscore here, right? So now you don't have to write long formulas like this. Yeah, and each will properly work. So that's a big benefit now. Got it? And the answer will again remain same. If I'm going to write something like Hermione again, or let's go with Crispo's name, and then invoke it, you can see my text is getting upper. So that's the big idea. Okay. So earlier, I hope it is getting clear to you, right? Yeah. And if,
Yes.
uh, yes, Crispo.
No, I'm saying it's clear. It's clear now.
Yeah. And if you see earlier, we used text function there. Now I can use simply each operator and underscore. That's it. If I go into numbers, then I can simply use each underscore and multiplied by 0.1. So behind the scenes now what is being happening, this underscore value is changing depending on the context. So if I'm sitting on 620, or I will better say 6200, so what it will do calculation something like 6200 into 0.1 equals to 620. When I jump to the next value, then it will go for 9200 into 0.1 equals to 920. Yeah, so that's the big idea here when we are working with each operators. Got it? Let me close it for now. One second. Yeah, yeah. Now the biggest struggle which most people face is, okay, Aditya, here we could identify there was a text value. But what will happen? Because many times when we are working with values, or you can see Power Query, sometimes it changes. Okay, it is sometimes a text value, it is a number value, that's understandable. But sometimes it's like a record, it is a list, and sometimes it is a table. So what to do now? So you can see that, just see, if we just eyeball the values, you can get the idea that here I've got text values, right? But sometimes it's not much clearer, right? So what we can do? So I will tell you a technique. What we can do here, I can say that list transform, then we can use each and underscore for the time being. That's my starting point when I'm working with Power Query. Again, nothing has changed, right? Now what can I do here? I can see that value type. So this is the function I'm going to use, value.type. The moment I do, now just see, it is saying me type value, right? But that's an interesting thing. 1 second, just see here. It is saying my value is a text value now. Got it? So if this value is a text value, what I need to do now? I need to use the text functions. Got it? Because Power Query is, there are three rule of thumbs if we have discussed before. First one, Power Query is case sensitive, Power Query is data type sensitive, and Power Query is zero based, right?
Now the master raki আছে এখন
Will you unmute your mute yourself? That will be helpful. Yeah. So that's the thing. So you can say that now can identify quickly what is Power Query doing behind the scenes. Got it? So let's say tomorrow I have got something like this. By eyeballing, I can quickly get the idea. But if you are working with the nested functions, then you might not have a better idea. Then again, I can come here, list transform, and do something like each, and I will say that value type, and I can quickly say, now you can see that this is a record. Got it? So, okay, Aditya, this is a level 0 game. We want to see more applications properly where we normally get confused how this will be useful. So let's jump into one of the ideas, right? So here, let's say I want to get, or you can say I want to convert this date, individual dates, to, you can say that a proper word name, right? So you can say month name actually. Yeah, I don't know what I'm blabbering right now, but yeah, you can say that word name, month name into words. So that will be April. Here it will be June, something like that. So what we want to do, something like that, right? To transform this column. So what we are gonna do, we will do table transform columns, and then we are coming here, we know this is an approach. Here we will say invoice date, and here we will think something like this, okay, because I know it will work. And here we will use a function date to text. Yeah, let me do, ma'am. So now it is giving me an error. Okay, that's confusing. Why this is giving me an error? Because I have provided a date, invoice date properly. But if I have done the same thing here as well, let's go for table.add columns, custom column, and I will come here and let's say this is my month. Here I will say date to text. Once again. Yeah. If I have done something like this one here, this format is looking perfect, right? And here it is saying me, just see here, Aditya, we have got the answer. So what's the problem here, right? Because these functions are working similar, and here you are using date time to text, invoice date, and here I am using the same function. So what's the problem here? So that's what I was telling you when I was talking about this one idea, right? So now whenever you get confused about why I am getting an error, so try to see, right? What is the error in itself? So here you can see that it is saying that we cannot apply a field access to type date. So behind the scenes, this is a date value. To confirm you better, let me do remove here. I will use each underscore. Then I will say value type. Yeah. And the moment I do this, now you can see that here it is a date value. And if I'm going to do something like this here, then what can I do here? Underscore. And here I can say that uh, value type, right? And the moment I do here, now it is saying me it is a record. Because it is a record, I need to access my values. So it will be something like, or if you get more comfortable, it will be something like I'm going to access my invoice date value. Yeah. Or let's say I'm removing everything for the time being. So you can see this is a record I got, right? And if I want to get or fetch my invoice date, then I want to simply get my invoice date, right? And because I told you, because Power Query team wanted to simplify things, you can remove the underscore and it will still working perfectly fine, right? I have fetched my invoice date. Now I can apply the function. Here the value is directly a date. Got it? So that's why I have to simply use date type, uh, date to text. Here I will simply say, yeah, now it is working perfectly fine. So that's a big idea. Got it? When you are working with Power Query, that's how each operator works. It changes the value depending on the context. Got it? So that's the thing. Anything confusing? Should I repeat anything else or I will move on? Yeah,
Alon, you
all
can
right.
ask your question. There's someone who
Yeah,
wants
Yeah,
to
yeah,
ask
yeah.
a question.
no, I just wanted to ask if you could repeat the last few seconds that you had with regards to um, the the um, the value type.
This one here or this one?
That one, because I
This one,
saw
right?
that the context of each was changing based on the value type, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, if you could just repeat that segment there.
got it. So if you see
Thank
here,
you.
see, one of the things, okay, one of the simple things is you can simply come here and start the value. So we have started creating a function here, got it? Because we have earlier seen that whenever I write each and underscore, it creates a function. Yeah. So now eyeballing it, I can quickly get the idea this is a record, right? But let's say we are working with the nested functions and we have got no clue. So what we can do here, we can use something like value type with the underscore and it will give me an idea that the type is record type. Yeah. So now what we can do here, we can come here and we can say that because this is a record, I want to fetch a value. Got it? Actually want to fetch a value from that record. So what can I do? I can use projections. Let me give you a better example this way, right? So let's say this is equals to name equals to Emma and her age is, if I'm correct, 34. So this is a record, right? And if I want to fetch my age or Emma's age, so what can I do here? I can come here and just do the projection thing. Yeah, and I've got my age. So I want to work on an individual text value, or you can say here the number value, right? So that's the thing I am going to do here as well. Got it. So if I'm going to fetch my value, so what I need to do, I want to fetch my invoice date, right? So what can I do? I can come here and do the invoice date. Yeah. So now you can see that these two are ideally one and the same. Now I can perform the calculations here. Got it? On that date. And a best idea which I normally do is, because as I told you guys, if you are not comfortable, you can use a underscore here. Got it? But the Power Query team wanted that we want to simplify the things. We don't want underscore performing everywhere. Then what we can simply do here is we can remove the underscore and it will still work perfectly fine, because it by default assumes that you're working with records and you want to fetch the values here. Got it? So you can see my output didn't change. So that's the whole idea. Got it? I hope it is clear.
Thank you. It
Arun,
is. Thank you. Yes.
great.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you very much.
So now what we can do here again, let's see, I want to get my totals from amount, right? So what I'm going to use, a very easy function, table.group. Yeah. And here I want to, uh, I think, what is my name actually? Customer. Customer. And I am going to write something like this. Let's say total amount. And here I will write something simple, each and underscore. Yeah. Now you will see something incredible. Table.group, I have written something like this. And here also table.transform columns, I have again written something like this within the curly brackets, right? But here it was a date value, right? Or depending on the value type there. So it was a single value directly there. But if you see here, this is a table now. Yeah. So now I need to figure out a way what to do here, because this is a table. What do I need to do? I want to get this amount. So what do I need to do? I want to project the values properly. So let me tell you something like this. This is my table. Let me remove this portion, and instead what I will do, I will reference it for the time being. Yeah. And now you can see that. Um, Let me do and open up here. Yeah. So now you can see that, and I will write for the time being table here. Okay, it should have been easier. 1 second. Uh, this navigation step is a bit awkward. Table, and here I will write here table. Yeah. Now you can see that I've got my amounts, something like that, right? So what can I do? I want to project the values and fetch my amount column. So that's what I'm going to do. Amount column, and now you can see that I've got a list of values. And then simply what can I do here? Because this is a list, I can use list sum function. Yeah. So that's the whole idea, right? So I've got my totals. So that's what I'm going to do here as well. So if I project my values properly, this will be amount. The moment I do amount here, now you can see I've got a list here, right? And because now I want to get my total amount, I can simply say list sum, and that's it. You can see that I've got my totals. So earlier we were seeing, we have seen that we have got a single individual value working with table transform columns. When we were working with table dot add columns, it was a record. And when we are working with group function, it is a individual table. Got it? So that's the whole idea. That's where people tend to get confused. Okay, why this is not working right now? I hope I'm making sense right now. Got it? All right. Let me close everything and then we will come to an important point right now. Yeah. Yeah, 1 second, please. Now let's jump into this one. So here I've got my sales table. These are again my customers, and I have got a few names here. Got it? What I want to do here is I want to individually, you can say that I want to filter these tables depending on individual values. So for Idella, what I want is I want to get individual. Uh, you can say I want to transform the values in a way that I only fetch her records only. So that's what I want. So what can I do here is again, because this whole thing is a list, I'm going to use list function, that is list transform. And here I'm going to use an each operator and underscore. So behind the scenes right now, I'm working with an individual name here. You can see I've got Idella here, right? Let me do a transform for time being. Now what will happen is I want to get this table as well, right? So what am I gonna do? And because I want to filter it out, and that is a table. So what am I gonna do? I am going to use table dot select rows function. Yeah, and then here I will write the name source. And now again, what we are going to do normally, we are going to use an each operator, right? Because that's the function, right? And here I know that my source table has got names as customers, and I want to fetch my names as customers. Yeah. So this is my customer. Got it? Now you can see that at least I've got a table value here. Or let me do something like this. List or transform. 1 second. Yeah, yeah, it won't work that way. So let's say if I'm going to write something like true for everything, you can see that it is working perfectly fine. And let's say now because I've got customer here, and let me fetch my values this way. So now you can see that if I do something like this, just see here, right? I've got all my individual customers from for this particular person, right? And because we know that my each operator is here and my underscore value is having a value Idella. So what can I do? I don't know how to pronounce her because we have got a bit touch with our sentences. But yeah, so what can I do here? I can come here and do the underscore. Now see something interesting. Nothing is working, right? Earlier it was working perfectly fine. If I did something like that. Yeah, but why it isn't working? Got it? The thing is that we are now confusing Excel with two each operators, right? It's like I have got twins and again I have named them same. Okay, so if I'm going to call them again, they will be confused as well. Even I will be confused, right? So whom I am calling. So that's the thing. To elaborate it further, let's jump into an proper example. Let's come here. Let's remove everything here. Yeah. And in here. Yeah. So let's say this is Crispo, or I will say that this is X value properly. So it will make more sense. 5 here, and then Y is equals to 10 here. Got it? And if it is equals to Z, let's say X plus Y. Yeah, and let me call it Z value here. So what will be the answer? Can anyone unmute themselves and speak up?
15.
10, 5 plus 10, right? So
Yeah.
it would be actually 15 value. If we go back in our query, you can see that I've got value 15, right? So what will happen now if I am again going and saying something like this? Okay, So this is my nested function now. So I'm saying something like this. I'm again writing something, let's say 500. And here I am saying that W is equals to 1000. Yeah. And let's say my value will be something like A equals to X plus W. Yeah. And here, 1 second, W. Right. So now what will happen? Or I will simply do something that will make things much more simpler. What would be the value now? Will it be 5 plus 1000? That will be 1005. Or will it be 500 plus 1000? Any idea, guys?
I think it's 500 plus 1000.
500 plus 1000. Yeah. Any reason? Any idea why?
Because the Z is nested now under the nested function there.
Yeah, I kind of understand you. The thing you might be saying is that this is because nested, it will be prioritized first, right? So to tell you a better example, just think in that way. So let's say
Mhm.
tomorrow you are going to ask, like you have got me and Crispo as friend. I'm living it in India and Crispo is in Kenya. Okay. So tomorrow you want to plan for Kenya and you want to travel there. So would you be asking me or would you be asking Crispo?
I'll be
Of
asking
course.
you because you're in India. Oh,
No, I
Crispo
am
is in
saying that
Kenya.
you,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So you will be asking Crispo, right? Because he is
yeah,
living, breathing, and he has been staying there for a long time. So that's the
yeah.
whole idea. So what Power Query does is, if a person is residing here within this local context, so what they will do here, okay, if let's say this value was A, right? And if I have done something like this, because no one is living at Kenya right now, they will think of their best friend here. Got it? Or their friend here. Okay, Aditya, you tell me where can I travel there? Got it? But if someone is living in Kenya, let's say Crispo is living in Kenya, then what they will do is they will preferably ask Crispo there, right? So that's the whole idea here. So because Crispo is living in Kenya, so first Power Query will go here, they will ask Crispo. Got it? The X value here. And then if Crispo is not there, then it will think of, okay, let me find somewhere down the line. And just to tell you one more thing, let's say if X is not even here, then what it will do? It will search for these different queries. Okay, not inside the queries, but the query's name. And if there is not there, then Power Query will throw you an error. So that's the whole idea. Got it? So what will happen is when we are working with two each operators here, now Power Query is thinking something like this. You are providing me a value each operator here. So now I will think of from within this context here. Got it? So when I say something like this, each underscore. So what will happen is now this is a record. Got it? Because underscore is a record in table dot select rows function. So that's the whole idea. And customer simple customer doesn't equals to a record. So that's why it is giving a false value. And that's why we are seeing the values empty here. So what is a better approach? That's where our beginning learnings come. We can explicitly say something like this. This is my, you can say, criteria. Yeah. And this is my, you can say, a simple table row. And I will say something like this. My row that is from where I am fetching my customer should be equals to criteria. The moment I do, now you can see that I can individually see they are all filtered, right? So this is one of the approaches you can use. And another approach is, this is a very first approach. You can go on long on approach. That is the longest route. Or otherwise, what you can do here is, I will say it is actually pretty short approach, but yeah, or otherwise what you can do here is, you can come here, let's say, because you are much more fond of each operator. So first each, you have created something like this. Then what we can do here, it will be better if I go in Power Query, right? Let's say each underscore there. And then here I will say something like this. Yeah. And then here I will say, this is my let up function. And now I want to change my context here. Got it? So here I will say criteria, or you can say person equals to my underscore here. And then here I can say that filter out, or directly you can come here and say in table.select rows, and that will be my each customer equals to person. Yeah. And when we see now, you can see that now I am getting the same result here. Got it? So this is normally the approach you will see most people are using when working with tables, or you can say nested functions, because first you make this variable, or you can say explicitly say that this is my previous value and here my value has changed. So this is another my local environment, and then I am fetching my person value here that is sitting in this environment. Got it? So that's one of the approaches. But if you personally ask me, I'm not a very fan of this approach. The reason being is, if tomorrow I am again going to use another calculation, I will be creating another let function, right? Let approach there. So a better approach, which I normally do here is, I will come here. Let me come. Let me delete this whole thing. I will simply say, because my first value is each, and yeah, and I want to make things crystal clear. So I'm coming here, text uh, table.select rows function. Then here I will say that is my source. And here I will now explicitly say I want my function f parameter. Or you can write something like raw or whatever you want. And there I will say that f, this is my customer, is equals to my underscore. Underscore is holding my individual person name, and f is holding my individual record of that table. So that's the whole idea. Now you can see that it is still giving me a perfect answer. And if tomorrow I'm going to go next step further for nested functions, I'm going to use X there. Okay. So the first level, I go with the each operator. The second level, I go with my F for short for function, and X simply because I am habitual with Excel. I use lambda X. So that's the whole idea. Got it? So even you can change your variables, or you can say variables depending how you feel comfortable with. So that's the whole idea, why each sometimes break, what is behind my each operator, and how we can debug those calculations going one by one. All right. I am finished, guys. Now I am open for the floor of questions.
Thank you,
If
Aditya,
someone,
for the presentation. Anyone with a question, you can raise your hand. Oh, I like the way you have explained on how Power Query works like Excel. The way it first of all evaluates whatever that is on the inside before it goes to the outside. That for me, I think, was a takeaway. Each operator is still something I need to watch again. Anyone else with a question, David?
Now, this is good for me. I always get confused when I try to go beyond the basics when it comes to the each operator. Mostly the last example there when we move from one function to the other. So I need to spend a bit of time there to understand that piece. But this is well explained. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the feedback, Aaron. I am glad to hear that.
Anyone else with a question? Okay, in case somebody wants to learn more advanced on each operator, where would you, which resources would you recommend? Do you have a course? Do you have like a video where you have explained more on the each operator?
Actually, I had sessions on, you can say, each operator on the Sunday Gaming Learning, one of my initiatives to contribute to my mentors. So I took, we went much more deeper about there. So what will be happening behind the scenes and everything. So of course you can go there, and honestly saying, I don't know if someone has got into this way properly explaining about from Excel's approach. Because if let's say I have got friends who have switched or you can say who have transitioned from Python or R language to Power Query, for them the for loop is very easier. Got it. But
Mhm.
as a person who have been into Excel, and this was quite tricky. So you can say for 2 years, I didn't understand anything, what is going behind the scenes in each operator. So that's why I thought, okay, now because I've got lambdas, the map function, so that is one of the approaches which I normally use now when I
Mhm.
explain the each operator. So that's the idea. Now,
Yeah,
now
and
I hope the first.
that is very excellent because I learned about I learned a bit of Python last year.
Mhm.
A bit of just the example that you gave there at the beginning, the map function and all those other functions that you can use to irritate your list or whatever you want to call it. But I never thought of applying that the way you show that in Excel, right? Which is really good because for me, if I can understand the basics, um, it just makes a lot of sense.
Exactly, exactly. So now I hope that Crispo doesn't mind that, yeah, those 10 minutes were useful, right? Otherwise, starting from Excel doesn't make sense if you are going to Power Query.
It's true. It does. It makes a lot of sense to start from Excel. Makes a lot of sense. Um, Eliza, you can ask a question. Unmute yourself. Uh, Liza, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I don't know why they have raised their hand then. Okay. So anyone else with a question? Like I always ask Aditya, and I think I've asked you before when you presented. There are people who are starting here and would like to become Power Query wizards like you. Is there like step by step that you followed for you to be where you are? Some resources that helped you to become what you are today that you'd like to share?
First thing is my playground area. Okay, because I am a gamer, my main playground area was your challenges, Excel BI challenges. So that helped me a lot. And the second thing is I started reading a lot about these things from Rick Bigroots, and you can say binge watched Melissa's videos, and then I found out about Chandeep as well. So I watched them. And now the thing is that a few of them are more from the Dex background and that kind of area. So how to start learning Power Query from for Excel people. So that's where I am trying to figure out that is. And in Profectus, we will be having soon about data analytics, something like that, where I will be sharing about Power Query and Excel. Even Bhavya might join. So if you guys are interested, that will be much more grateful. So these are the ways I will be explaining the things. That's the idea. But if you are from Python background or you are much more good with DEX or any other languages, yeah, so Rick DeGroot, Melissa, and Chandeep, they are good to go. They are my masters.
Okay. Good to know. Do you offer individual classes? If somebody wants to learn from you, how would they reach out to you for consultancy and for training? Is that something that you offer?
Right now, because I am attached to Profectors, so all those workshops and classes will be happening there. And yeah, just to help my mentors, where you can say more than anyone, there is a difference between masters and mentors. Mentors who have given me life properly about learning to learn about me myself actually. So what I am doing is I am contributing them right now in the gaming learning perspective. So on every Sundays we meet and I share something related to Excel, Power Query, you can say Python in Excel, then mostly integrating them and AI stuff on the Sunday Gaming Learning. It is just an initiative. So because my mentors are like, you can say, Sal Khan from Khan Academy and Amrut Desmukh, the booklet guy. So whatever funds come there, I simply gift away to them. So those sessions you can join in and you can reach out to me. I will tell you more about it.
Okay. Anyone else with a question before we end? It's 6 p.m. I don't think there's anyone else, Aditya, with a question. So we'll end here and thank you for coming again.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you, Crispo, for
I
putting
hope
this together for the community.
Okay.
Thank you, Crispo. Thank you, Aditya.
Okay.
Thanks, Michael.
Bye.